Good day everyone. In this video, I will be discussing the overview of the bones. So first, let's define bone. So bone is a substance containing collagen and minerals, which is calcium and phosphate, that forms the skeleton of the body. So it is a rigid body tissue comprising cells that make up the individual bones of the human skeletal and skeletons of other vertebrates. So trivia. The adult human body is made up of 206 bones. So now let's proceed to the functions of the bones. So besides from contributing to body shape and form, our bones perform critical functions for the human body, which has the initial of S squared PMB. It supports the body, protects organs, movement, stores fat and minerals, and blood cell production. Supports the body. It acts as a framework to support the other organs of the body. So imagine, without the bones, we would be a limp mass of organs, muscles, and skins. Protects organs. It protects internal organs by covering them. Parts of the skeleton system encloses or partly encloses various soft organs. For example, ribs protecting the heart and lungs, skull protecting the brain, and spine to protect the spinal cord. Movement. The movable joints allow the skeleton to change shape and position. As a result, it facilitates movement. We can walk, run, swim, and so many things. Stores fat and minerals. Bone serves as a site for fat storage, and it is a storehouse for minerals. Blood cell production are also called hematopoiesis. So the central cavity of long bones is filled with marrows. There are two types, yellow marrow and red marrow. And red marrow is where the production of red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets takes place. So now let's proceed to classifications of bones. So there are four principal types of bones on shape basis: long bones, short bones, flat, and irregular bones. Long bones are bones longer in length than its wideness, consisting long shaft with two bulky ends. Examples are legs, arms, forearms, and thighs. Short bones, generally cube-shaped and contain most spongy bones. Examples are wrists and ankles. Flat bone, flattened, thin, and usually curved bone, made up of spongy bones between two compact bones. Examples are sternum and ribs. Irregular bones, bones that do not fit in any above classification of bones on shape basis. Example, vertebrae. Next is structure of bone. So the following are the major anatomical areas of a long bone. Diaphysis, it is the central shaft. Epiphysis, the ends. And epiphyseal line is where the epiphyseal plates remnant. It is where the elongation of bones occurs. Now let's move to the types of bone tissue. So first is spongy bone. These are the bones that are also known as cancellous bone, forms the outer layer of all bones, spiky and open appearance. It is lighter and less dense than compact bones, and it forms most of the epiphysis. The second type of bone tissue is compact bone or cortical bone. It forms the hard external layer surrounding the bone marrow. It provides protection to the bone and forms most of the diaphysis. Now let's go on to our fourth topic, bone formation, growth, and remodeling. Formation or ossification is the process by which new bone is produced by osteoblasts. There are four situations where bone formation occurs. First, during fetal development. Second, bone growth before adulthood. Third, bone remodeling all throughout the period of life. And fourth is fracture healing. Types of formation. Intramembranous ossification. It is where the bone-forming cells called osteoblasts begin to produce bone in connective tissue membranes. Endochondrial ossification. Bone formation is happening inside a cartilage. Bone growth. Long bones continue to lengthen through the addition of bone tissue at the epiphyseal plate that leads to increase in height. They also increase in width through the oppositional growth. It is responsible for change in body shape. Bone remodeling, a replacement of old bone through removal by osteoclasts and adding a new 1. Through the deposition of osteoblasts. Now let's move along to bone fractures. Our bones are amazingly strong but are still susceptible to breaks or what we call fractures. Simple or closed fractures are bones that break cleanly but do not penetrate the skin, whereas open or compact fracture is the opposite. So this table shows the common types of fractures, its type, illustration, descriptions, and comments. First, comminuted. These are bones that break into fragments and particularly common in older people. Compression. Bone that are crushed, common in porous bones. Next, depress. These are bones portion that is pressed inwards and typical of skull fracture. Impacted. Broken bones ends are forced into each other, so these are commonly occurs when someone attempts to break a fall with outstretched arms. Spiral. Ragged break occurs when excessive twisting forces are applied to a bone and common in sports. And last is green stick. Bones break incompletely, much in the way a green twig breaks, common in children whose bones are more flexible than those of adults. Now, to repair a fractured bones, there are 4 major events that needs to be done. Hematoma forms, fibrocartilage callus forms, bony callus forms, and bone remodeling occurs stage. Hematoma formation is where blood accumulates, forming hematoma due to the ruptured blood vessels as a result of death of some cells and pain and swelling in the area. Fibrocartilage callus forms. After a few days, blood vessels regrow and new blood vessels are formed. Granulated tissue cells form a mass of repair tissue called the fibrocartilage callus. An external catalyst is also being formed outside the fracture. The granulation tissue fills in the gap where the fracture is and rejoins the fractured bones together. Bony callus forms. After a few weeks, with the help of osteoblasts and osteoclasts, the fibrocartilage callus converts into a bony callus. Last, bone remodeling stage. After several months, the formed bony callus are remodeled to become a strong and new bone. Healing occurs. Compact bone lay down and osteoblastic activity increases during this stage, resulting in the previously fractured bone to be healed after 4 stages.